I want to take a couple minutes to talk about something that's rather unpleasant, but a normal procedure, normal operations, and everything works fine. I'm talking about single engine. What if you're down to a single engine? On a 3 or 4 engine airplane, if you lose one engine, it's no big deal at all. In some cases, it's barely noticeable. Believe it or not, sometimes a 3-engine airplane may fly actually a little smoother on 2 engines. If it's a 4-engine airplane, you've got 3 more engines, you're fine. Probably barely noticeable. But the reality is there are very few 4-engine transport aircraft now. Very few airlines have 747s, for example, or the A380. Most of those are at Emirates Airlines. But the majority of airlines use 2-engine aircraft of various sizes, from very small to jumbo jets. Most of the operations today involve 2-engine aircraft. So what happens when you lose an engine? Or if you don't lose an engine, if you have to shut down an engine? Sometimes there are mechanical conditions that require the crew to shut down the malfunctioning engine for safety or just to preserve the components of the engine. The world doesn't stop. In order for the airplanes to be certified, they have to be able to withstand a 50% power loss. So if you've got 2 engines and you lose 50%, you lose 1 engine, the remaining engine has to be able to do everything from takeoff, cruise, descent, landing, under the worst circumstances. That's required for certification. So the planes are very, very, very capable. In some ways, you might say they might be better than, say, a 3-engine aircraft. We don't have any more of those flying, no more L-1011s or DC-10s, because you can't simulate a 50% power loss on a 3-engine airplane. Each one is giving out 33 1/3% theoretically. So if you shut down 2 of the engines, you've lost 66+% of the power. And in a 3-engine airplane, which I've flown, if you lose 2 engines, that's bad. It's manageable, but it's tougher. It's a lot better to actually lose an engine on a 2-engine airplane than 2 engines on a 3-engine airplane. This is just the way it goes. But an engine shutdown can be mandated for a number of reasons. Generally, maybe high temperature or low oil pressure. For some reason, you have an oil leak. Different things can result. If you have a fire in flight, which is very, very, very rare. I don't think I know anyone that ever had one personally. But there are certain things that mandate a shutdown. And if the engine's shut down, it's shut down. Can the airplane fly on 1 engine? Yes, we've already established that. Can it land on 1 engine? Yes, it can. The compromises might be in the case of fuel. It could be a little heavy, and maybe you have to make a fuel adjustment and dump some fuel to reduce the weight, reduce the strain on the engines, and regain full capability of the aircraft. And if you're too heavy, oftentimes you'll have to descend. The airplane may not be able to maintain the same cruise altitude, but it'll fly just fine, and it'll come down and descend just fine. Your air crew are trained extensively in single-engine procedures, from takeoff to touchdown. The most critical time actually is during the takeoff, when you lose an engine, when you're still on the ground, or if you're past that V1 speed that we talked about earlier, that decision speed, and you've got to go flying. Again, the airplane has to be able to suffer an engine loss at the most critical time and perform everything at the maximum weight and maybe the worst conditions with that 1 engine. So if that does happen to a pilot, the air crew's hands will be full. They'll be very, very busy. But when you're up in the air, you're flying, and you have to shut things down, things go a lot slower. I've had to do that a couple of times in 35 years of airline flying. I do it a couple of times, and they were precautionary, and things just got quieter, and there was no real problem. If you're on a longer route, the thing might become, what if you're over the water? What if you're over the ocean? You're over the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific or the North Pacific, South Pacific, a long way from land. Well, there's something called ETOPS, Extended Twin Engine Operation. And that is basically a set of procedures that airlines follow to ensure that there is a suitable divert field in case of the loss of an engine. If you do lose an engine, you're probably not going to make your great destination. The procedure is to land at the nearest suitable airport. Well, what's the nearest suitable airport if you're in the middle of the ocean? Well, there are some designated airports that may be located along the route or off the route quite a distance away. Again, we're talking about engine reliability, and those engines have to be very, very reliable and be able to make it. And you have 120-minute rules, 180-minute rules, and longer. Basically, my airline had a 180-minute rule, meaning that on a single engine, the airplane had to be able to fly for 3 hours to a suitable divert field. And generally, the routes that were taken were within 3 hours of a suitable divert field. 3 hours is a long time, but you'd be able to fly on that single engine all that distance, hundreds of miles, maybe over 1,000 miles, 1,200 miles, whatever it is, and get the thing on the ground. And it takes a while to be certified for ETOPS. There are polar routes. Some people fly over the poles. That's a long way up. I've never really done that. I did it one time. But there are very few divert fields on the top of the earth or the bottom of the earth. But single engine operation is not a big deal. It probably won't happen to you ever. It rarely happens in one's career. But the airplanes can take off, land, and operate with one engine. So that's all for today. Thanks very much. And also, for those who are nervous flyers, I've got a free guide. Look in the notes in the description below the video here. And it's a freebie. It's available for you. You can look at it, print it out, or scan it to see some good things. You don't have to be scared of everything. Enjoy your flight.